Hello and welcome back to the Pace Studio. We are live this morning in Midtown Manhattan with Mary Gauthier. Hi.
Hi, good morning. It's
Thank
good
you
to
for
be
being here. And we have Maestro Michele on the strings next to her.
Good morning, everybody.
Thank you both so much. So, Mary, you have a new record out called Rifles and Rosary Beads, which is a very special project involving songs co-written with U.S. veterans.
That's correct.
And you're going to play a couple of songs from that.
I am, yeah.
So tell us about the first song you're going to play.
Okay, I thought since we're introducing the project by name, why don't I just play the title track? Co-written with a retired member of the U.S. Army named Joe Costello. And goes like this. Rifles and rosary beads, you hold on to what you need. Vicodin, morphine dreams, rifles and rosary beads, yellow smoke, orange haze, blowing into my eyes, whistling sunset bombs. I couldn't trust the sky, rifles and rosary beads, you hold on to what you need. Vicodin, morphine dreams, rifles and rosary beads. White knuckles wrapped around a blackness that has no sound. Bombed out schools and homes, kids in the street alone. Rifles and rosary beads, you hold on to what you need. Vicodin, morphine dreams, rifles and rosary beads. Mirrors frighten me. I don't recognize what I see. The stranger with blood on his hands. Brother, I'm not that man. Rifles and rosary beads, you hold on to what you need. Vicodin, morphine dreams, rifles and rosary beads, rifles and rosary beads, you hold on to what you need. Thank you.
Amazing. That was so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So tell us a little bit about what first inspired you to create this project.
Yeah, I've been co-writing songs with veterans, all members of the members of all branches of the military, and their wives, and sometimes their kids for the last 4.5 years. I've written with all ages, all races, all sexual preferences, and a lot of women, so both genders. I've written songs through a program. I'm a member of this group of amazing people called Songwriting with Soldiers. And it's a program that pairs up professional songwriters with mostly wounded warriors. The wounds may be physical, they may be mental, it could be traumatic brain injury. But it's virtually impossible to have been in a war and not be wounded in some way. There's moral injury. There's a long, long list of things that happen when you're in a war, and most of them are bad. So what we do is try to help the veterans articulate what they're experiencing now. And so we sit and we listen, and in the spirit of non-judgment, we don't assess or label their experience. We try to get the story told and put it into a song so that what happens is the creation of empathy. It's very hard to talk about your trauma if you've been traumatized, because by definition, trauma is ineffable. Something happened that there's no words for. But music can go into the places where language can't reach. And there's great power in this work, and I absolutely love it. So over the last 4.5 years, that's part of what I've been doing is working with Songwriting with Soldiers, and the songs started to pile up. And Michele has been encouraging me for quite some time now to make a record of these songs, and I just needed to be convinced that people were interested in the stories. We haven't really heard a lot from our veterans since we sent them to the Middle East. We're in the 17th year of this war, and I wasn't sure people wanted to hear these stories, and he was convinced that wasn't true, and he's right. As I bring this record into the world and play these songs all over the world, people are so interested to hear the internal experience in the words of those who've served. So my job is to get myself out of the story and don't insert myself, and to be a midwife and to listen, to hear, and to transcribe into words. So this young man, I asked him what he saw when he landed in Fallujah during the surge, and he started to describe a scene where white knuckles were wrapped around AK-47s, and other white knuckles were rolling rosary beads in their hands. And I said, brother, there's our song, Rifles and Rosary Beads. And he had also written a poem by that name. And so Joe and I proceeded to write Rifles and Rosary Beads out of his experiences as a 19-year-old man in Fallujah during the surge.
Wow, that's really powerful.
It's incredibly powerful. And the veterans have plenty to say if we can listen. It's a challenge to know, for a civilian to know what to say to a veteran. I am comfortable with the guitar because I'm transcribing the stories, but over and over again, civilians have said to me, I want to be able to bear witness. What do I say? How do I do it? And so I think that the spirit of listening is an art form. We so want to respond to someone's experience with our own experience, and to say, yeah, I remember the time, my brother dyed his hair blue. But we don't have that response with a soldier because we haven't been to war, most of us. So it's very hard to know what to respond with. And so the spirit of listening is an art form, I think. Oftentimes the best thing to do if you don't have the experience being described is to in some way repeat back what you just heard. So I heard you say That's kind of a skill I learned from being in therapy forever. My therapist repeats back what she heard me say. I think she's a genius, and I give her a lot of money. It's kind of the deal, right?
So tell us about the second song you're going to play.
Yeah, so one of the things that people do say to veterans, and I think they mean well, is thank you for your service. I say that myself at airports sometimes when I lock eyes with someone in combat fatigues, clearly being deployed. There's a young man at the gate with his leave orders in hand when I was leaving London, and I got really choked up. His parents were there, and I heard the word leave orders, and he was presenting them to the flight to the airline at the counter. I'm like, oh man, I know more about what he's fixing to go into than he does, having worked almost 5 years now with veterans, and I just got really choked up. And I didn't know what to say to him, so I said the thing that we say, which is, thank you for your service, my friend. And yet there's something that happens in that sentence that's not altogether comfortable for the veteran. And so this is a song about that. It's a veteran sitting after coming home, sitting at in a diner on Veterans Day, watching the Veterans Day parade go by. And I wrote this with a retired sailor in the Navy, retired Navy sailor Jamie Trent. He told me Waffle House gives veterans free breakfast on Veterans Day if they have an active duty ID, which led to this song. It's called Bullet Holes. It's the 11th of November in Nashville, Tennessee. Free breakfast at the Waffle House if I show my ID. A parade up on the riverfront, you can hear trumpets play. Hands on heart, the color guard kicks it off on Veterans Day. And they thank me for my service and wave those little flags. They genuflect on Sundays, and yes, they'd send us back, but I believe in God and country, and in the angels up on high, and in heaven shining down on us through bullet holes in the sky. Waitress asked me how I'm doing, but I don't know what to say. I was thinking about the battlefield, the night I learned to pray. Marchers make their way down Main Street, the crowd begins to cheer. I feel my chest explode as my eyes fill up with tears. They thank me for my service and wave those little flags. They genuflect on Sundays, and yes, they'd send us back, but I believe in God and country, and in the angels up on high, and in heaven shining down on us through bullet holes in the sky. Well, Jesus said, forgive them. they know not what they do. And he's here with me this morning, and his words still ring true. I hang my head, pray for those we lost and those who remain. As the clouds burst over Nashville, it begins to rain, and they thank for my service and wave those little flags. They genuflect on Sundays, and yes, they'd send us back, but I believe in God and country, and in the angels up on high, and in heaven shining down on us through bullet holes in the sky, and in heaven shining down on us through bullet holes in the sky. Oh, oh, Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
So you mentioned a little bit about the listening and the process of working with the veterans, but I'm wondering, how do you feel that working with them changed your perspective and your approach as a songwriter in general? Like, what did you learn from them?
Well, I have started to try to articulate what I learned from them, and it's hard because it's big. It's really big. One of the major things that I've learned from the veterans I've worked with is the nobility of service, of genuine self-sacrifice. These women and men did not go into the military because they like war. They're in the service to serve. And they continue to be the type of people, after they leave the military, who want to serve. For example, little example, but it gives a good insight into typical veterans' behavior. When it's time for chow, when it's time for lunch at the retreat, they always wait and invite everyone else to go first. It's their retreat. We've thrown them a retreat, and no, you go. They are built in a humble way that is dedicated to others and sacrifice. And this is not what I was expecting. My mind has been poisoned, or was poisoned, by the media's stereotype of a veteran, of a soldier, as a warmonger, as a far-right sort of patriotic, gun-loving, almost a killing machine. This is a very, very false and needs to be blown to bits stereotype. What I've learned is the nobility of service and the beauty of humility. What I've seen over and over again is the trueness of these people I've written with to be real friends. They show up. I mean, I've made friends that I feel like are family for me. They show up. They show up on time. They do what they say they're going to do. There's an integrity there that is just, for a musician, it's deeply humbling. And I love them. You know, I came from a family that did their best, but we were a mess. And we threw that word love around, and it wasn't backed up with it was backed up with chaos and inconsistency. But I've experienced when a veteran decides they love me, they freaking love me. It's real, and they are there. And if I'm in trouble, they are there in a solid and true way. And this is deeply humbling to me. One of the things that's happened with this project is the media's writing ridiculous headlines like, Mary Gauthier is helping veterans. This is a misnomer and it's a false headline. The real headline is, veterans are helping Mary Gauthier. It's a mutuality. We're helping each other, I think. I help them to articulate something that's hard to say, and they bring me consistency and solidness that I cherish, and it means a lot to me. These friendships are real, and I value them. The other part of the answer is something I'm just starting to see, because people are telling me that this is happening, is that the job of the artist is to help people tell their story. I have spent 8 records telling my story, for the most part, and I've reached a place where I have the skill set now that I can apply what I've learned as a songwriter and tell the story of others, which I think is a higher calling, actually. The narcissism in my industry is deadly, and I am so relieved to be able to answer these questions and have a project that I don't have to go deep into my own deal. You know, this is a great relief, and I am filled with passion and purpose around this work. So thanks for asking the question. It's a hard one to articulate. I'm getting there, but it's just so big. The impact on.
Yeah, I can imagine. It definitely shows through your passion and, you know, how much you are talking about how you care about them, that this goes way beyond just making a record and writing songs.
I had no idea. I'm thinking, you know, here I am, a 55-year-old lesbian, liberal, and I'm working with veterans. This is going to go really bad. This is going to go south fast. And the exact opposite is true.
Yeah.
We just, all the stereotypes that I had and the fears that they brought on were just dumb, you know. I think if we meet each other heart to heart, there's the ability to connect, no matter what the labels are that we've been burdened with, you know. And I think this is the power of music and the stories. No matter where you are on the political spectrum, I'm hoping that the songs can help you empathize and feel what it's like to wear those boots and climb off that plane in Fallujah during the surge. No matter your politics. Empathy is very important. We're in an empathy crisis right now, where we're arguing and screaming and we have opinions and we're very deeply entrenched in our ideology and we're not able to feel each other. Songs well written bring the ability to feel each other's humanity again. And so that's my hope with this record, is to build bridges back to a group of people that have been just so stereotyped. Yeah.
So tell us about the last song you're going to play.
Well, I'm going to play this song I wrote in 2002 that we were joking earlier. This one's going to be on my tombstone. I wrote this when we were building up to the war in Iraq. And the weirdness of it is that I could have written it last night. It's more relevant now than it might have been even then. And there's a prescience in songwriting that is always just astonishing to me, that the songs seem to know more than the songwriter. If you start to catch that lightning, there's a wisdom that comes through the songwriter that is not from the songwriter. And I don't know what to call it except for alchemy. And this is called Mercy Now. My father sure could use a little mercy now. The fruits of his labor falling right slowly on the ground. His work is almost over, won't be long. He won't be around. I love my father. He could use some mercy now. brother, he could use a little mercy now. He's a stranger to freedom, shackled to fear and doubt. The pain that he lives in, it's almost more than living will allow. I love my brother, he could use some mercy now. My church and my country, they could use a little mercy now. As they sink into a poison pit, it's gonna take forever to climb out. They carry the weight of the faithful who follow them down. I love my church and country, they could use some mercy now. Every living thing could use a little mercy now. Only the hand of grace can end the race towards another mushroom cloud. There's people in power who'll do anything to keep their crown. I love life and life itself could use some mercy now. Yeah, we all could use a little mercy now. I know we don't deserve it, but we need it anyhow. We hang in the balance, we dangle between hell and hallowed ground. And every single one of us could use some mercy now. Every single one of us could use some mercy now. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So, Rifles and Rosary Beads is out right now. And thank you, Mary Gauthier and Michele, for being here. And thank you for telling us about this very special project.
Thank you so much for the interview. We've